Of course, as Snehal introduced, I recently written a book, so I am a writer. It's an identity I'm now fully embracing. I've been writing for a few years, so now with the first book coming out, that is something that I'm embracing. I'm into trading and investing as well. I am a 500-hour RYT yoga teacher as well, and that is also I teach yoga and meditation during weekends primarily. I am also a civil engineer by qualification. I believe it serves like a memory bank for me. So how I approach journaling, मैंने करना start किया. Now I have, it's been like now it's been 8 years now of that observation part. Now, that is like, if I have to describe my writing, it is all about that, especially with respect to this book that I've written. It is all about that. You're so beautiful. I think you've nailed it. Because as you were speaking, I was just smiling internally as she's just describing my process, because this is also a collection of my write-ups, Snehal, of over 3 years. वो चीज को आपको थोड़ा सा आपको करना ही पड़ेगा. वो जानने समझने के लिए भी भगवान हर जगह है. वो करना पड़ेगा. योगासन थोड़े आपको ऐसे वेट नहीं कम होगा, या वो थोड़ा चलोगे, फिर दौड़ोगे, फिर भागोगे. तो आई रियलाइज कि वो ना कलम लेके, कागज लेके, या लैपटॉप लेके, या एम्प्टी पेज लेके, यू हैव टू कम, यू हैव टू राइट व्हाटएवर इट इज. तो उसके लिए बट यू कैन ओनली डू इट इफ यू हैव अ रिचुअल. अगर आप उसका इंतजार करेंगे, एक दिन इंस्पिरेशन आएगा. तो वो हो सकता है एक दिन आए, हो सकता है आपके पास टाइम ना हो सकता है उस दिन आपका मन ना करे, हो सकता है आपकी तभी, हो सकता है आप ट्रैवल कर रहे हो जिस दिन आ रहा है. कैसे करोगे? ऐसे ही पढ़ लिया. संस्कृत आई हैड टेकन इन स्कूल टिल अबाउट 10, तो थोड़ा बहुत मेरा कम से कम, मैं समझ नहीं आता था संस्कृत, बट आई कुड डू द उच्चारण एटलीस्ट, द प्रोनाउंसिएशन. Then in February, again, this is in a moment of, desperation. Kitab pe sar marne ke baad, I'm just sitting, and in our home library, the Bhagavad Gita as it is was kept. My father had brought it like 5-6 years back. Even the pages had turned yellow. But I picked it up and I loved seeing the pictures there. Bhakti Vedant Book Trust pictures were very, very beautiful. Those paintings were very beautiful. And I read something below. हिंदी में थी और हिंदी में नीचे कुछ. मैंने कहा यार ये श्लोक का मीनिंग है. This makes sense. अच्छी बात लिखी है. I don't know what overcame me, and I just read the entire March. My exams were supposed to happen 2007. The entire Feb I read the Bhagavad Gita. I would, as soon as you started talking, Snehal, a verse from the Bhagavad Gita just started ringing in my mind only. So I will just, try and connect it, with Krishna's perspective only. And we in Sanatan Dharma, Vedic culture, we believe in, many lifetimes and multiple lives, etc. So Krishna kind of, ratifies it, affirms it. He says, Bahuni me vetitani janmani tabjarji, that many, many lives you have had. And then he also said that, that it takes many lifetimes for a person to actually bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate, that after many, many lifetimes a person who grows into wisdom then finally comes to that stage. So if you sincerely try and connect, so Krishna says that ye yatha mam prapadyate tam tathaiva bhajamyaham, jo jis prakar se meri taraf aane ki koshish karta hai, I reciprocate. These are words of a scripture that has been around for more than thousands of years, and people have lived by it, and people try and follow it, and they have experienced results. I have seen results in my life. So yes, if we try, and it can be anything, universe, God, Allah, Paramatma, whatever it is. I have a Muslim friend also. He, like, we talk a lot about all these things. He, shares the same sentiments as bro. I completely agree with you. And when you were speaking now, Snehal, I could just visualize my teacher talking about this. She used to make us go through intense, body bending exercises, theater related exercises for throat, for body. And she used to say, those actors always succeed whose body can adapt to, and only they're able to adapt to different roles, whose bodies are flexible rather. Yeah.
Hi, and welcome to Soul Velocity. I am Snehal Singh, your host, and I'm excited to take you on this incredible journey where we tap into the wisdom of entrepreneurs, authors, and creative visionaries, people who are transforming the world in ways we cannot even imagine. As the name suggests, Soul Velocity is all about finding that pivotal direction for your soul, mind, and body. A place where deep, real conversations ignite the fire to keep you moving forward. Right now, I'm thrilled to bring you a special series called as Voices and Verses, 100 Authors and Countless Stories. This series is all about celebrating the writing world, connecting with authors, publishers, marketers, entrepreneurs, screenwriters, playwrights, and filmmakers who are shaping the stories that inspire us all. Through these conversations, my goal is to encourage aspiring writers, support seasoned authors, and spark new ideas that can inspire you to take you on your own creative journey to the next level. Whether you're here to learn, connect, or simply just enjoy some amazing stories, you are in the right place. Let's dive in together. everyone, welcome to another episode of Soul Velocity. And this is our series, Verses and Voices. Uh, every time we speak about writing, there is so much more that it unfolds with every conversation. Our conversation today is also going to be a little bit about writing, a little bit about spirituality, a little bit about bringing all of that into alignment, and a lot more. So let's see how we deep dive into our conversation today. I do have a special guest, and I'm just going to ask him to introduce himself. We have Kushagra Singh with us, who is, according to me, I know, is an author, who is also a podcaster, and at the same time has many other facets to who he is. So, Kushagra, thank you so much for being here today and having this amazing conversation. Would you like to just introduce yourself a little bit more in terms of what all you do, and then we'll jump into the conversation?
Hey, Snehal, namaste. Thank you so much. First of all, very, very grateful for you giving me this chance and opportunity to have this word with you, conversation with you, and namaste to all your listeners and your viewers. And I hope this conversation is worthy of your time investment as well, because Snehal, I know, always does a very good job, but I hope even I can contribute in some positive manner. Of course, as Snehal introduced, I recently written a book, so I am a writer. It's an identity I'm now fully embracing. I've been writing for a few years, so now with the first book coming out, that is something that I'm embracing. I'm into trading and investing as well. I am a 500-hour RYT yoga teacher as well, and that is also I teach yoga and meditation during weekends primarily. I am also a civil engineer by qualification, so just try and balance all these different facets of life. And but primarily now I identify as a writer and a yoga teacher primarily. Yeah.
Perfect. I like the way you said that, I now associate and I accept that, or I
Yeah.
embrace
Yeah.
that now. So, how did the journey of writing
Mhm.
to becoming a writer happen?
Mm. I I'll tell you, Snehal, what happened was that I used to love expressing myself for my friends. I'll tell you exactly how it happened. This is a fantastic thing, that because it reminds me of so many things. Your question, because I've realized over this course, I've done some bits and pieces, even for my publishing house, etc. But nobody has ever asked this question, and this reminds me. I used to love writing for my friends on their birthdays, on their special occasions. That was a moment where I really wanted to express for them. And this is what my feelings are for you. Of course, during the course of the year, you keep meeting and talking and sharing your appreciation. But and I remember I had written, okay, this is a very personal story, but I think I can, if this is going out in the flow, I'll let me just put it out there. I had written a love letter to somebody, and then I showed it to some of my other friends, and they said, "अरे यार ये ना तो हमारे लिए लगता नहीं पड़ जाती है," like that. So this is where it began, and I used to write for my other friends as well, and it used to be very heartfelt. There was no I didn't used to think about it too much. Anything that used to come out from my heart. And also another thing that was there, Snehal, with me was that मुझे शेयर करना बड़ा अच्छा लगता था. If I like something, जैसे if I like your podcast, so I'll share it to other people. You know what? This is something very nice. Try it. This is something very nice. So if I'm learning something new, reading, watching something, even picking something very mundane, maybe say something like, "Oh, I tried this very nice pizza place. I tried this ice cream parlor. Maybe we should visit it." So I loved sharing. So combining all these things, I started writing blogs, writing posts, etc. And I started getting good response from my friends, from the people that I shared on social media. I dared to do that, and then this idea started forming that maybe I'd like to write a book someday. Although my ideas differed, firstly I wanted to venture into fiction, but then slowly and steadily, as I kept writing, and journaling has been an incredible tool for me that has really helped me find my own writing voice, so as to say, if I were to put it like that. But then I realized कि नहीं यार, I think my I have to stick to my and stick to my comfort space, and where I feel I'm able to express myself most effectively, and that is the space of, again, things that I learn and I share my experiences, and connecting it primarily to the scriptures, to the Indian scriptures like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, etc.
Wow. So, something that you started just because you enjoyed it, and that moved into eventually writing a book. Tell us a little bit more about journaling, because journaling is something that, while people do buy a lot of them, and I think every year everyone buys a lot of journals, but they're just
Yeah.
filled with 1 or 2 pages, or
Yeah.
say 10 pages, and then it just stays there. So what makes you continue the journey of journaling?
I've journaled mostly on a digital platform, Sneha. And I'll tell you very honestly why I've done it, why I've continued with it, and why I still continue to do this. I believe it serves like a memory bank for me. So how I approach journaling, मैंने करना start किया. Now I have, it's been like, ooh, now it's been 7, 8 years now since I've been journaling. And now when I look back on some of the memories, for me, it is like I see how I've progressed or sometimes even regressed in life. Oh, this was what I was feeling. Oh, 2018, Kushagra was thinking like this about his future. These were the thoughts going on in his mind. These were the people around. This is what mattered to him. And then I contrast it to what is happening now. I'm like, wow, how does life change? And then when I'm, again, when I sit down and journal again, even if I'm writing the most mundane things, this is what happened. Like today, maybe this is like a proper event for me. So I'll maybe journal. I had this a chance to speak to Snehal. So this becomes part of a, I wouldn't say core memory per se, but yeah, this is an important thing. But otherwise also, then I realized, oh yeah, these were the thoughts that were going on in my mind. These were the doubts that I had. And look at me now. Or, oh, sometimes I even take inspiration from myself. And yeah, look at me. I was so serious about my physical health and my mental health. And look at me now. I think I should take inspiration from my previous self. And also judgment also for my own self starts dropping. Sometimes, when we end up judging ourselves too strongly, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. Then you look at your past and like, it's okay. Every phase of your life, every time, every moment, whatever things that you're going through, you just need to be a little more easy. Just try and understand, just try and have the best response. These are some of the ideas that I've understood. Again, it started out as, wanting me to create a memory bank for myself. Now it does serve as a memory bank. But yes, often if I have to add a little bit of more this thing, because I have conducted some guided journaling journey sessions, as I like to call them, a month long this thing online session with people where we just give them prompts every day. I give them prompt and I say just answer this question. That's about it. And I try and structure it in a way so that they can think about their past and then create visions and goals for the future, and also maybe address some slightly uncomfortable topics, things that they have been that they'd rather like to avoid. I've also tried the morning pages and everything. So what it just helps me connect better to myself. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful in that way. And I
I
can
love
highly
the
recommend.
way you're talking about it because, journaling is something which sometimes needs a perspective, as to why do I want to journal? Because this is another thing. I'm just, saying it out loud here, but the intent or the need to be positive is so
Mhm,
high that
mhm.
sometimes even when we are doing morning pages, and I do have circles of morning pages where
Uh-huh,
we meet regularly, this question
uh,
keeps popping up that if I'm journaling and if I'm writing things that are not happening or say things that are not good for me, then isn't
mhm.
it wrong? Am I not supposed to be positive? So what's your point of view on that in terms of always wanting to be positive? And I think that's something that is kind of at times I feel it's toxic to be too positive in life as well. So what's your point of view on that?
This is a fantastic question, Snail. I think life may, if we observe carefully, look carefully, our life, somebody else's life, कुछ भी force करते हैं ना, force anything, चल ही नहीं सकता. You have to come to a state of realization where you start realizing why positivity would be good for me. Why should I ultimately try and move towards it? मेरे कहने से, स्नेहल के कहने से, किसी और के समझाने से, मे बी वो कुछ टाइम तक ना मोटिवेशन रह सकता है. पर विद इन स्पिरिट आने के लिए ना, तो हाँ, फिर ये when you're doing, when you conduct sessions as you're saying, maybe that can help them connect to themselves better and then उससे आए. But force करना is not good. You're right, always thinking कि no, I have to be. Now this is where I think maybe it's आधा अधूरा ज्ञान. We've not really delved deep into it, because I always quote this example from the Bhagavad Gita. People will say, oh, it's this motivational book, people read it to find inspiration and this and that. Yes, of course, it always gives you, but Krishna is also very factual. He's also, like, I'll quote this verse to you in the 8th chapter. I'm forgetting the verse, but the number of the verse, exact this thing. But he says that he mentions about this material world. Mam upete punarjanma ashashvatam dukh alayam. He describes this material existence as ashashvatam and dukhalayam, which means ashashvatam is a place which is temporary and things will be temporary here, and dukhalayam, जैसे विद्यालय में विद्या मिलती है तो दुखालय में दुख मिलता है.
तो
So,
मिलेगा जी.
so, so this is in a way, अगर सिर्फ आप यही वर्ड्स उठा के देखो तो आप सोच यार ये तो नेगेटिव बात कर रहे हैं कृष्णा, भगवान भी नेगेटिव बात नहीं. ही इज बीइंग फैक्चुअल. तो जब आप बहुत डीप स्टडी करते हो तो आपको रियलाइज होता है यार ये हिस्सा है जीवन का. तो कई बार दुखी होना, बीइंग अ लिटिल स्ट्रेस, बीइंग अ लिटिल दिस थिंग, और टॉकिंग अबाउट योर पेन्स और ट्रबल्स और वरीज और राइटिंग देम डाउन इज नॉट बीइंग not positive. In fact, it is positive in a very different sense of the way where we are embracing every aspect of life. And then that can lead you to a very healthy state of positivity where we will not shy away from anything. And then one thing I believe, Snehal, just people say na, that philosophy really helps us in our dark times, in our when we are going through trouble. Yes, of course it does. There's no two ways about it. Or spirituality can help you, or things like journaling, writing, etc., talking, speaking can help you. I feel being in good company, being satsang, also helps you to stay stable during your happy times. Because often we end up missing that happy times also do not last, and we think that they will last. So I think this is where we will develop a very healthy state of positivity. Problem आएगा हम उसको address करेंगे, barring will not shy away from it. And अच्छा भी आ रहा है तो उसमें भी इतना नहीं कूदेंगे कि अब तो जी बस यही है, पार्टी है लाइफ. नहीं, पार्टी है कुछ टाइम तक और उसके बाद मंडे आ जाएगा, फिर मंडे भी झेलना है और फ्राइडे भी आएगा.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Kushagra. What intrigues me is you have been writing. Okay, you've been writing for a while, and kind of, many other aspects. Like you said, it began with probably just writing smaller, tiny messages to, blogging. Blogging needs a lot of observation, to be very honest, in terms of, having a perspective, having a different perspective. So does your writing actually come from here, or you have a different schedule in terms of, like for writing your book? Was it a separate project for you, or it just happened in flow the way, all other writings for you happen?
I think you just said it. Of that observation part, na, that is like if I have to describe my writing, it is all about that. Especially with respect to this book that I've written, it is all about that. You're so beautiful. I think you've nailed it. Because as you were speaking, I was just smiling internally as she's just describing my process. Because this is also a collection of my write-ups, Snehal, of over 3 years. So in a way, it just happened. I never thought that I will turn this into a book. I had other ideas. In fact, now I'm working on another project. But then I realized, hey, I have enough content. And what was happening when I was putting out these pieces of blogs, people liking it, people will consume it, but it became like a magazine. Diya, padha, kinare rakh diya. With the book, I've realized the difference that I'm seeing. People are now telling me, oh, this is a very nice point that you've mentioned here. Oh, this thing I'd like to highlight. This thing I'd like to go back to again. And I see this is a difference. Now I was a little uncertain. Should I not put this out there? But I had enough confidence, thanks to good people around in my life who had encouraged me, supported me, and were kind enough, and also the reception that I got by. So एक तरीके से test भी हो गया था, honestly. So by sharing these different pieces, so it was not such a difficult task to put them in the form of a book. But yeah, you're right. It all comes from observation, and I think what really helps, at least it has helped me, when we are not very desperately attached to the end goal, na, okay, you should have an end goal in mind. Of course we should, because if I don't have an end goal in mind, तो फिर कैसे होगा? But if you're desperately attached कि ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, ऐसे ही turn out करेगा, तब it's difficult. But if you allow yourself a little bit, especially in creative field, allow the journey to take you where you want to go, and don't be very rigid about the path that you're going to take. Like I never thought this will be my first book, but here I am. And I'm very happy. And just because I put something out there, I'm getting more confidence to now work on, say, a little bit more of a challenging project for me, trying something different. Because something I know, okay, it's not bad. I can say like that. Retaining all my humility, it's not bad. It's good. Okay, chalo, maybe let me try something else.
Amazing. I just said it because I admire people who blog, because it needs not only observation, but you need to have a different point of view than the crowd to make a point or bring people's attention to it. And I really admire that. And it also needs a lot of consistency. So that is actually my, one more question about writing before I jump into something very interesting I want to ask you, and I'm holding myself for it. And that is consistency. Kaise laate ho? How do you bring in consistency in this? Because we all have life and so many other things happening. So what do you do?
I think carving out your time, Snehal, मुझे ना सबसे बड़ी चीज that I have understood, I think you need to carve out a time. You need to have a time ये वाला आई थिंक किसी भी चीज में सक्सेस के लिए स्नेहल आई थिंक विच यू वुड agree because you are also such an accomplished person done so many things you would also know that if we are not carving out a set and it doesn't matter 10 minute 15 minute 20 minute 30 minute whatever it is you need to create rituals why even in our spirituality जैसे अरे भगवान तो हर जगह है हाँ कब याद आती है उस हर जगह की इसी के लिए उठानी पड़ती है माला इसी के लिए घंटी बजानी पड़ती है लोगों को मंदिर मस्जिद गुरुद्वारे जाना पड़ता है वो
True.
चीज को आपको थोड़ा सा आपको करना ही पड़ेगा वो जानने समझने के लिए भी भगवान हर जगह है वो करना पड़ेगा योगासन थोड़े आपको ऐसे वेट नहीं कम होगा या वो थोड़ा चलोगे फिर दौड़ोगे फिर भागोगे तो आई रियलाइज कि वो ना कलम लेके कागज लेके या लैपटॉप लेके या एम्प्टी पेज लेके यू हैव टू कम यू हैव टू राइट वट एवर इट इज तो उसके लिए एंड बट यू कैन ओनली डू इट इफ यू हैव अ रिचुअल अगर आप उसका इंतजार करेंगे एक दिन इंस्पिरेशन आएगा तो वो हो सकता है एक दिन आए हो सकता है आपके पास टाइम ना हो सकता है उस दिन आपका मन ना करे हो सकता है आपकी तभी हो सकता है आप ट्रैवल कर रहे हो जिस दिन आ रहा है कैसे करोगे because I've tried when I'm traveling it is difficult to write when I'm going here and there and I have other work it's only when I'm in one place at my own state then I create a space there are many things that we can add on still yes of course I'd like to add this maybe it's very good if we have one particular space um, ऐसे मंदिर बनाते हैं हम अपना स्पिरिचुअल प्लेस बनाते हैं मेडिटेशन का बेड है हमारा सोने के लिए आइडियली काम आता है वो ठीक है आजकल हम नेटफ्लिक्स भी देखते हैं खाते भी हैं जो भी है या डाइनिंग टेबल पे आइडियली खाते ही हैं लोग अब वो कुछ भी आप यूज कर लो उसके लिए बात अलग है बट द पॉइंट इज इट्स यू शुड हैव अ स्पेस ये टाइम है दिस इज अ टाइम वेयर आई कैन गिव 20 to 30 मिनट्स पक्का ऑलमोस्ट एवरी डे एंड इस स्पेस में मुझे अच्छा लगता है आई लव एडिंग सम फोकस म्यूजिक I love adding some, maybe white noise or some baroque music or something like that to my this thing. And itna time hai, and maybe I've used this app also sometimes, Forest app, which just, it's a cute little app that, the time you're focused, it just shows that, the tree is growing. And if you want to leave that focus time, that the tree will wilt away or something like that. So that's also a fun way of keeping yourself motivated. But yeah, find whatever works for you, but definitely carving out a particular time in a day, whatever time that it may be. Ideally I feel creative work is best before we begin with our day that's best so yeah that has been really a game changer for me Snehal otherwise again so many of my creative projects would have been a pipe dream फिर वो वही मुंगेरी लाल के हसीन सपने एक दिन
So I realized that because even for inspiration to flow in, is your body ready? Like sometimes many people do say to me, Snehal, the download is happening and it's just too fast. You didn't prepare yourself for that moment. When it's flowing, you haven't prepared yourself to write that fast or type that fast because you haven't been in practice. It's the same thing. Never ran your entire life, never walked in your in a marathon. Then it's going to ache and pain and not a great result. So yeah, thank you for saying that because
I learned something. Thank you. This is very important even for me. I'm going to make a note of this. Thank you. Yeah, it's really good.
Rituals do matter.
Yeah, you need to prepare. Yeah,
we have to prepare ourselves for anything that we're looking forward to. Is as simple as that. Now, while you're talking about this, you also did quote Bhagavad Gita, and that was my reference of connecting with you as well. So, Kushagra, how did your journey? Okay, before I even jump to, again, I still have that question. I'm going to hold it on. Yeah. But spirituality, what's your definition of spirituality?
I think connecting to God. It's something higher than you, something higher than your own experience, whatever experience that you're having about your own self, your life around, something beyond that. For me, it is something very, very grounding. Snehal. It just grounds you. It humbles you. You realize it should create a sense of awe and wonder in you. Mm-hmm. Oh wow, like that. Oh wow, there is something more. There is something more to be learned, something more to be experienced, and something which will keep on adding to my thirst. This is how I have, for seeking whatever it may be, for whatever it is, and I also have realized over all these years. And I think I've transformed from a really kind of bigoted person to now being a little more open, little more embracing. I've realized it has to be very personal. Not to say that your expression of spirituality cannot be public. It can be, it should be, it must be, and it should be respected like that. But your one-to-one connection, what spirituality means to me, can be very different to what it means to Snehal, to what it means to person ABCXYZ.
True. And how did this journey begin? Like you have a lot of in-depth knowledge, even in comparison to someone who's a reader like me. You have spent years in studying, as you said, our ancient history, our Vedic, scriptures, as well as Mahabharata, Ramayana, and the Bhagavad Gita as well. So, how did that journey begin? What made you take that turn towards deep diving into this content?
I think it's all Krishna's grace. I think it's you realize when you get any, like, again, you spoke about spirituality. I think it comes to you if it hits you really. Na, it leaves you with no doubt that भाई सिर्फ सब मेरे वजह से नहीं होता है. I'll try and really, because it's a long story. Sometimes when keep talking about it, I'll try and really briefly share the story for you and for your listeners and viewers as well. I was tackling my 11th class final exams at that point in time. This is back in 2006. I was a teenager back then. I was 15-year-old bacha who was preparing for his 11th class ka final exams, and I was somebody who was pushed into science लेनी है, engineer बनना है. I was like, यार, the only two subjects that I like is maths and English, but ये physics, chemistry तो झेलती नहीं है, और people are saying, अरे बेटा IIT करना है. IIT 11th pass नहीं हो रहा IIT. But one thing was there, I had this social conditioning, I would say, कि भगवान को ना हम अप्रोच करते हैं, क्यों अप्रोच करते हैं? जब कुछ चाहिए होता है, ये अप्रोच कॉल, या माफी के लिए अप्रोच करते हैं, गलत कर दिया भगवान माफ कर दो, या मतलब ऑर्डर वो जज साहब की तरह है, जज साहब या तो ये पास करा दो या तो ये इसको वो होल्ड पे रखा दो. तो आई हैड बचपन में मम्मी यूज्ड टू रीड मी दिस भगवद गीता महात्म्य from Gita Press Gorakhpur, which was the glorification of Bhagavad Gita. It comes in a scripture called Padma Puran, where there are stories connected that people read this verse, उनके साथ ये चमत्कार हो गया, ये हो गया. मैंने कहा यार पता नहीं, somehow it just hit me, this idea struck me कि पास करा देगी भगवद गीता अगर मैं भगवद गीता पढ़ लूं. और श्लोक पढ़ने, आई वॉज नॉट इवन इंटरेस्टेड इन द मीनिंग. मुझे लगा जैसे वो प्योर रिचुअल होता है ना, बस चैंट कर लूं, कुछ पुण्य जाएगा और वो पुण्य मुझे पास करा देगा. मुझे लगता है कुछ तो पुण्य मिला होगा स्नेहल, बिकॉज आई 2006 दिसंबर में मैंने ऐसे ही पढ़ लिया. संस्कृत आई हैड टेकन इन स्कूल टिल अबाउट 10, तो थोड़ा बहुत मेरा कम से कम, मैं समझ नहीं आता था संस्कृत, बट आई कुड डू द उच्चारण एटलीस्ट, द प्रोनाउंसिएशन. Then in February, again, this is in a moment of, desperation. Kitab pe sar marne ke baad, I'm just sitting, and in our home library, the Bhagavad Gita as it is was kept. My father had brought it like 5-6 years back. Even the pages had turned yellow. But I picked it up and I loved seeing the pictures there. Bhaktivedanta Book Trust pictures were very, very beautiful. Those paintings were very beautiful. And I read something below. हिंदी में थी और हिंदी में नीचे कुछ. मैंने कहा यार ये श्लोक का मीनिंग है. This makes sense. अच्छी बात लिखी है. I don't know what overcame me, and I just read the entire March. My exams were supposed to happen 2007. The entire Feb I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I was stunned, Snehal. I was like, "ये पुण्य देती हो ना देती हो, this gives a lot of even for me as a 16 year, I turned 16. 16-year-old boy, it made so much sense. कि यार Krishna here is talking about, here I am worried about what will happen. रिजल्ट क्या आएगा एग्जाम का, मैं पास होऊंगा फेल होऊंगा. हियर ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट that very famous verse of the Bhagavad Gita, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन, and almost everybody knows here in Hinduism, या at least नहीं भी पता होगा तो बोल देंगे उसको. ये तो है, which Krishna is talking about that you have the adhikar, you have the right as a soul, as an individual atman, to do your prescribed duties, your duties, your whatever is coming in front of you, but you cannot claim proprietorship over the results. That struck me amongst so many other things that I was very fascinated, after reading the Gita. Ki, yaar, I'm not studying. I'm worried about what's going to happen as the result, but I'm not putting in the effort. Let me pick up the book. Let me try and see it. Result, pass, fail, dekha jayega. Let me give a sincere effort. And well, lo and behold, inspired by the Bhagavad Gita, I studied. I passed the exams, fortunately. But it made me so curious. Who is this Krishna? Because my image, my understanding of Krishna until then had been कि ये माखन चुराते थे, रास करते थे, दो सी, और एक बार कुछ गीता वीता बोल दी थी इन्होंने कहीं पे. I had no other idea about Krishna. This माखन चुराते थे, रास करते थे, डांस विद द गोपीज, माखन चुराते थे, वाह जी शाह. एक दिन साल में एक दिन आता है, लोग व्रत रखते हैं, उनके मंदिर जाते हैं, रात में लाइन लगाते हैं और माखन मिश्री खा लेते हैं. I became curious and I wanted to read about it. And I understood by, again, Krishna's grace, I was guided towards the right scripture, Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran. It is one of the 18 Purans. It is considered to be one of the final works of Vedavyas Muni. where he has described in depth in the 10th book of that scripture, in the 10th part of that 10th canto, 10th, they call it Skandha. There, the entire biography of Krishna is there. And of course, I read the entire scripture. It describes creation, dissolution, as Puranas talk about, history of so many kings and ancestry of the Suryavanshis and Chandravanshis, etc. But 10th book was all about Krishna, and I was blown away. I was like, oh, now I understand why, people who start connecting to him, then they become fans, then they become lovers. Then they do not, why they do not take left, right, or center. It is only him, because his charm, his attraction, his pastimes, his leela, his character is so that it is so magnetic. Anybody, and I say that this is like a challenge. I dare you dare read about Krishna a little bit with an open mind and heart. The way he will attract you, I'm sorry, like this is like a warning. You should actually stay away. You don't want to get addicted and attracted to him. So yeah, that's how it was. And then from there on, yeah.
So, in today's world, okay, now you have actually, somewhere mentioned how it automatically worked even in today's world, because in today's world, people at times just want spirituality. I'm just generalizing it, okay, and it may not be for all the listeners as well, but most people understand spirituality only from an aspect of either just wanting to read more content, okay, and so much of knowledge gathering, and not as much of imbibing it or implementing it. Okay? So what is your take on it in terms of at least spirituality? Because I know, even for me, when at times I read, whether it is Bible or whether it is Bhagavad Gita, and when I'm reading through it and there is a verse that sticks by you, it takes a while to, not only just understand it, but decode it and to, make a part of yourself. But so it's not just about reading or, learning it. It's way beyond that. How has that journey been for you in terms of, everything that you have learned? Because there's so much of unlearning that happens when you stick to that one part, just, as you're going, and anything that sticks, as you said. How did that work for you?
I would, as soon as you started talking now, Snehal, a verse from the Bhagavad Gita just started ringing in my mind only. So I will just, try and connect it, with Krishna's perspective only. And we in Sanatan Dharma, Vedic culture, we believe in, many lifetimes and multiple lives, etc. So Krishna kind of, ratifies it, affirms it. He says, Bahuni me vetitani janmani tarjarjis, that many, many lives you have had. And then he also said that, that it takes many lifetimes for a person to actually bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate, that after many, many lifetimes, a person who grows into wisdom then finally comes to that stage. So I realized that the people who are even seeking, because देखिए कई लोग होते हैं, किसी को आप बोलोगे तो सभी नहीं, it's like they get scared about all these things. It's not going to infect you. And then some people will be very curious. People like us who want to talk and learn and share. It's not that they'll be ritualistic. No. They may not even go to a temple, but they're very open. They want to know, understand. And like you mentioned, Bible, again, same with me. I also want to learn I have also, tried reading parts of the Bible, parts of the Quran. And let's see, what are these books talk? What fascinates people, but this is also a very fantastic point that you mentioned, because I have, been there, done this mistake of trying to accumulate all the knowledge, but there were times in my life where I was not practicing and implementing it. I was not doing that. I realized, but slowly and steadily, I think if your intent of trying to read those scriptures, trying to read philosophy is right, then even if continuously, if you keep on just accumulating knowledge, then somehow or the other, and again, you're a coach, so you would know, subconscious starts pushing you towards, trying to implement them also. You will not be able to remain satisfied just with the accumulation. कहीं ना कहीं वो काम आने लगेगा. At least I would say मैं ऐसे ही हुआ है. I've done mistakes, I've done this, but I've realized कई बार ना, I realized यार काम तो आ रहा है. इतना जो किया ना, because there was this time I was very disillusioned with my own self. I was like, मैं इतना करता हूँ, मैं कुछ मेरा character में improvement नहीं आ रहा. I'm still getting angry. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But of course, we also spoke about toxic positivity. And I realized I was being toxic, trying to enforce toxic positivity on myself. कि मुझे हमेशा ठीक रहना है. बट देन आई रियलाइज नहीं यार, ये जितना मैंने काफी टाइम तक ये पढ़ाई लिखाई की, उसका कहीं ना मैं राइटिंग में काम आता है. व्हेन आई एम स्पीकिंग टू समबडी, वंडरफुल पर्सन लाइक यू, देन आई एम एबल टू रिकॉल सो मेनी अदर थिंग्स. एंड आई रियलाइज इफ आई had just remain stuck in one place कि अरे समझ नहीं आ रहा, ये नहीं हो रहा, मेरे तो बस की नहीं, किताब बड़ी मोटी है. और like some people you would say it's very unfortunate. I meet people then they say हमने तो भैया स्कूल में ही पढ़ ली किताबें. मैंने कहा तो ये तो थोड़ा दिक्कत की बात है. तो स्कूल में अगर लर्निंग छोड़ दी हमने, तो जीवन तो, लाइफ तो चल ही रहा है ना, लाइफ तो खत्म नहीं हुआ स्कूल के बाद. तो उससे अगर हम घबराए ना, एंड वी जस्ट स्टार्ट कनेक्टिंग टू द पाथ्स, मे बी जस्ट द स्टोरीज कैन टीच अस सो मच. That helps. Although again, I love that you've mentioned it. It's very very important. I'm also taking this point home, and it hits home that one should try and implement it as well. But I think still फिर भी पढ़ना I think gives you some merit, definitely. Intent अगर हमारा सही है, if you're not just looking to keep projection, oh look tilak and everything, oh look see, just if you don't want to do it for social media or for some social this thing, then it will definitely touch you, it will definitely help you.
I think that's where it comes down to what you said right at the beginning, right? It's about your private connect, your connect with whoever you believe in, higher source, God, the terminology that you want to give it, but it's all about your private connect and not about the world. And the moment it shifts from the world to me and my connect, I think the intent automatically somewhere just gets laid down, right?
That's so fantastic.
I think that's what happens, because I've realized that with time, the moment more it is about the world. Yes, we all are upgrading ourselves all the time, wanting to learn something new, wanting to do something new, especially the author world as well, because I feel at times they're just stuck into that routine of just wanting to learn and waiting for that, as you said, that one day when I feel I know. And that I know is such a huge knowledge bank that again your voice is again coming back to me कि एक जन्म में वो level का knowledge आप नहीं
right, it's not
as long as your sadhana is that intense, but accepting that right now I have reached a pedestal and this is what I've learned, and moving further while understanding what is my personal connect with my God, my belief, and the power greater than me.
Right.
Wow. Right. I know we are kind of talking a lot, in terms of, but it's just flowing. So I'm just going to go ahead. So Kushagra, in your this journey so far, okay, any particular things that stand out, which you may say that these two or these three have been my great learnings in my this journey of both writing as well as spirituality combined, that comes to you?
The first thing immediately as you speak this, Snehal, the first thing that hits my mind is having the right kind of people around, right company. Even books are company, right? In fact, so this is funny. So just before we got onto this thing, I was seeing that my mother was watching some news ka TV debate. And I was just observing what those people were doing there. Due respect to the TV channel, it's a business and everything. No, harsh judgment towards them. But I said, I know whom you're going to vote. Okay, I know whom to vote in the general. I know it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. What is the point of, because nothing is being added. It is also a company. What we are feeding our mind, and because see, I give all my credit, Snehal, to good, nice, kind people like you that I've met on my journey, who have helped me, supported me, affirmed me. वो नहीं होता तो कुछ नहीं कर पाता. चाहे आप spirituality की बात करें, लिखने की बात करें, कुछ भी. If those people, I give immense credit to my really good friends, kind friends who gave me a chance, a new person like me, and who were kind enough back then, because now they tell me, hey, you know what, your writing is improving. I was like, okay, you guys endured a lot of crap then, perhaps. Who knows? They said, nahi, tab bhi acha tha, but I see. nahi, I got it. So I think good company is something so, and good company ka matlab ye nahi ki that they will affirm everything that we do, but who are trying to grow in their life. Not ऐसा नहीं दिक्कत है कि a person cannot talk, like me and my friend, we meet once a week and we talk about our troubles, problems, this is happening, that, but it's not कि we remain stuck. या आप solution अगर कोई बताए भी, I'm not saying every problem needs a solution, but अच्छा, let's see how can we improve can we do something about it, or do we want to remain stuck? So I think one good company, whether it is from books or people, that has been absolutely essential, and that's what I live by, and I've been very, very grateful also. Although I do believe that some divine play has been, divine has played a part in that. But agar if I want to do, I want to also be good company to other people. I want to give that, good support and good, because some listeners, viewers may say, yaar hame to milta hi nahi hai, aapko nahi milta, aap ban jaiye किसी के लिए, आप कोशिश करिए, तो of course something will happen. Universe definitely listens. Yes, this can be the second point. Universe definitely listens to a sincere prayer. If you sincerely try and connect, so Krishna says that ये यथा माम प्रपद्यते ताम तथैव भजाम्य हम, जो जिस प्रकार से मेरी तरफ आने की कोशिश करता है, I reciprocate. These are words of a scripture that has been around for more than thousands of years, and people have lived by it, and people try and follow it, and they have experienced results. I have seen results in my life. So yes, if we try, and it can be anything, universe, God, Allah, Paramatma, whatever it is. I have a Muslim friend also. He, like, we talk a lot about all these things. He shares the same sentiments. He says, bro, I completely agree with you. I try, and whenever I try, and we get answers, you get answers. You just need to be patient, be sincere, try and connect, and it, life really, really, really becomes much more harmonious, much more smoother when it's like how in the Dark Knight Rises. I'm thinking comic book culture, this thing here in Dark Knight Rises movie, Selina Kyle, Catwoman, says, you're in some there's this some scene, she says, you're in sort of trouble and this thing and that, and Bruce says, you know what, I have a powerful friend who deals with such things, referring to Batman. So it's like, that, universe is my back. That is a big deal. Having that confidence, it's a biggest deal. These are, I think, two things primarily which I've really expressed, and I think just being honest and embracing. This is what I am, and trusting and believing that your own experience are the most unique thing about you. Nobody can take them away. Nobody can replicate it. What is Snail's perspective? I can never ever, if I try and ape it and imitate it, that is of no use. If I am just authentic as I am, whatever I am as a human being, whatever if I try and put out in my creative writing, whatever it is that I'm trying to do, it's not that it happens in our industry कि यार अरे यार आजकल ये चल रहा है बहुत, कुछ सर फैंटेसी फिक्शन निकालो, नहीं कुछ ना कुछ स्पिरिचुअलिटी का कुछ वो बना के कर, मुझे जो ठीक लग रहा है ना, इफ आई डू इट अच्छे से, देन आई विल क्रिएट माय स्पेस. और नहीं भी किया तो इवन इफ इट हेल्प्स वन पर्सन अपार्ट फ्रॉम मी, मुझे अगर कर रहा है तो बहुत अच्छा है. कैन आई कंज्यूम माय वर्क? Is it just good for me? Can I consume? Can I read? Would I like to read what I've written? Or I'm just purely thinking of commercial? Again, Gita Gyan also comes up. Just thinking about the result, or I'm also thinking about the process, also enjoying what I'm doing. These are some of the very essential things, I think, which for me personally, have been absolute game changers.
Wow, you actually summed it very beautifully, Kushagra. Thank you so much, because while we're just talking about the highlights, there is so much beneath it, okay, that we're talking about. And, I had set an intent just while I was asking questions. I was like, should I go to the business aspect or not? And, I put that intent saying, if Kushagra uses the word business by any chance, then I want to go ahead and talk about that route. Otherwise, I won't. Yeah. But you actually answered my question in advance itself, that, when we are serving, especially as writers, because I believe that writing always creates. Every time you put pen to paper, you are creating something. And sometimes just a poem, 4 lines, can even create a revolution, a movement. That is the power pen to paper actually has, right? So when we are doing that and holding that responsibility, okay, I just want to take a moment to also call out all the poets and all the writers who somewhere are holding themselves back, saying, "Pata nahi koi padhega ki nahi, should I or should I not write?" I just want to encourage you, saying, if it has come to you, it has to come through you. And that is needed. And process, as you said, as you narrated, if you enjoy the process, the results will show up, and they will definitely show up for sure. I want to address one last aspect before we close our conversation for today. And that is, Kushagra, your journey of while you're being spiritual and, embracing that path. Okay. You're also very active when it comes to understanding health and yoga. So would you like to talk or share a little bit more in terms of how health is also equally important towards all of this?
I, just to think, take this conversation into perspective, Snehal. If I were not to be in a healthy mind and body state, I would not even be able to give, my 100% here to even this conversation. So even something as, of course, this is a special occasion, but, even interacting with people, doing your work, your day-to-day activity, just going to the kitchen to bring yourself a glass of water, you need to be in a particular, I have realized it people sometimes ask me, I love running and I've done yoga, etc. There was this time, Snehal, 2 3 times in my life I've realized that I've become a little lethargic and I've added a little bit of weight to my body, and I see the difference. I didn't used to get to understand back then. But when I got into yoga after COVID time, the first wave, after 2021, I did my, yoga teachers training. I realized the massive amount of difference it gave to my self confidence and my mental health. And whenever I go running, and it's never about the speed or what I'm doing, what I'm posting, or what. No, 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 it's not. It's I. Some people ask me, "Yaar, tum bhagna teacher bhi ho?" मैंने कहा, I do it for this, bro, because then I feel such a level of calm and ease, and it's a time when I'm seeing yoga is all about, yoga is union. The literal meaning, it comes from yuj dhatu, union. Union सबसे पहले अपने साथ, परमात्मा comes next. सबसे with your own, when I'm able to just breathe, be in one state, and if I'm doing proper hatha yoga practice and then I'm doing my pranayams, and then when I just sit for dhyana, even if it is for 2 minutes, those 2 minutes, I realize even breathing becomes a happy experience, something which we take for, we take for granted, which is actually, this is the difference between life and death. But even that, just breathing, like, wow, here in that state, do I need anything else? No. At least then, there are no desires, there's no regret, there is no anxiety, there's no nothing. I'm just present. So I believe if we want to, as creators, as writers, and any segment of your audience, of your listeners who may be doing any kind of work, if we want to, no matter how long we live, we should try and really, really, again, carve out a time, just like for a creative. And it even something as less as 20, 30 minutes consistently, regularly. And then once you start becoming active, you also start checking your diet. I have seen that. Because again, it's like a, it's like a ripple
The
effect.
body talks, right? Body has its own
true.
intelligence and it responds when you're paying attention. I think it
Yeah.
comes down to where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
And once you start focusing on your
Yeah.
body, it speaks to you and you're ready to
Speaks to
listen. So, because again, that's something that I believe, that if you are active, and because you're talking about energy flow, and we talk about writers doing a lot of channeled work as well. If of writing came to me, I don't know where it came from. For that flow to happen smoothly, your body has to be loose enough, and for that,
No.
flexibility comes from exercise. That flexibility comes from
True.
movement, and that
True.
movement is definitely, the key ingredient for everything in life to move. To be very
So true.
honest,
True.
because everything starts happening when you start becoming stagnant in certain area of your life, irrelevant of which area it is. So even for people who put creativity aside, saying creativity doesn't pay, let me just focus on work. Even that, you're putting certain energy which is to a stagnant space, which was yours and which is yours,
Yeah.
and it's not moving anymore. I'm loving this conversation, but considering that we don't want to overwhelm, I'm going to promise my audience just taking your, or accepting your permission in advance, that we would be probably doing another episode a few time, a little time later, but we would want to continue this conversation for sure. However, just to close for today, Kushagra, anything that is coming to you which you would want to put it out as a closing note for today?
I think you covered so many things fantastically. I loved the point which you made about body, body being ready and flexible enough. And because, because I've done theater also in the past. I did theater for 4 years. And when you were speaking, Snehal, I could just visualize my teacher talking about this. She used to make us go through intense, body bending exercises, theater related exercises for throat, for body. And she used to say, those actors always succeed whose body can adapt and only they're able to adapt to different roles whose bodies are flexible, rather. Yeah. And she used to say that there are certain people here, and she used to point out certain people, that those who have actually not body working, going to the gym, etc., but who have worked with these exercises, they're able to adapt. So I think in any role, if we wish to adapt, I think this of health is a fantastic point. I cannot stress enough, but I loved talking with you. I think whatever you do, just do it with a little bit of joy. Don't think too much what is going to happen. If it helps you, see, again, I'll close off again. I love even our comic books, etc. I love Spider-Man as well. I like Batman and even Krishna and scriptures. I like these people as well. I was actually playing a game. And see, this is also another final, can be a closing note, that if we are so oriented, you can find stuff to learn from any place. Even something as, enjoyable but mundane as a video game. And I was playing this video game, Spider-Man. It's on PlayStation, and the one of the characters, Aunt May, she says, Peter, if you help someone, you help everyone.
True.
I loved that line. It's not about, sometimes we as creators we're thinking we not to create a massive wave of impact. So many, fantastic. God bless you. May you reach an abundant number of people. But even if that one content, one creation helps, like this helps me, Sneh. This helps me tremendously talking to you, honestly. What happens, what kind of reception it gets, well, Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. But it helps me. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy, right? And if it helps one person beyond us, if it helped you, fantastic. I would have loved that if it also, you share these sentiments. But if just one listener tells us, yaar, acha laga, boom, done. So just have that, sense of enjoyment. Just go with the, albeit still trying your level best to scale it and trying to improve it, etc. But yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kushagra, for everything, because there are so many. I'll probably have to go through the recording multiple times to make the notes in terms of what all we actually spoke about. And you brought a lot to the table. So thank you so much for that and your time, because I think
Thank you.
that's the only thing that we cannot return ever. Money
Yeah.
can be returned, everything can be returned. Time can't.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. Guys, thank you so much for listening in. You all know that this podcast is a two-way conversation. So when you listen in, anything that you want to say, you can leave it as a voice note or even as a text message as a response to this. If you have questions for Kushagra, you can leave them as well, and we will definitely get the answers to you. So feel free to leave a note. Let us know what you liked, what part of this conversation was your takeaway today. And I'm going to leave you all with my note as usual. That is, we all are born abundant. All we need to do is take that one step to be abundant. So are you ready to claim your abundance today? What are you doing today? Thank you so much. I shall see you in the next episode.